Welcome, Autobots and Decepticons. My name is Matthew Flynn, the Gladiator of Kaon, and I am joined by Troy Pacelli, also known as Carton the Klingon Cleric, and Netta from Netta's Network. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the second season of Ben 10 Alien Force.
Yep.
And it's going to be the second part of the hybrid conspiracy, as it is referred to a few times.
And I want to say hello to Melissa Harrison Sons 3.0, who popped in the chat and said that she would be back at 10. So I'm presuming she's back now.
Yep. I think she's an East Coaster. So, but yeah, another good season that has a lot of payoffs to previous seasons and previous episodes in the season. They're very consistent about that. However, there are a lot of retcons, some of which I found a little bit frustrating.
Oh, whoops! I did not mean to. Okay, there we go. You can continue.
Yeah, some retcons this season that I found a little bit frustrating, but we'll talk about those as they come.
Yeah,
I'm still not thrilled at animation style on this. It just doesn't work for me.
Doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
I am sad to say that you're going to be seeing this style for a while more.
Yeah, I figure it's probably going to continue throughout Alien Force. Sure.
Yeah.
Yep, and Ultimate Alien. Well, the Ultimate Alien split into 3 seasons, so about 4 more seasons of this style.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the seasons are longer than 13 episodes. They're about like 20. Yeah, I think it's season 3 of Alien Force is 20 episodes. Seasons 1 and 3 of Ultimate Alien are also 20 episodes, and then season 2 is only like 10 episodes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, after we get through Ultimate Alien, then it'll be a different style.
But honestly, I'm not going to sweat the animation style too much. Really, it comes down to the storytelling.
Yeah.
And
how they weren't consistent.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious, the retcons that you're talking about, is this a case of we're going to be talking about that a little later or right off the bat?
Probably a little bit later. I'm like looking at the first episode and I'm thinking, I don't really remember too much there as far as a retcon. But
okay, then.
That's my memory will be jogged as we go through each episode.
Okay. So start with episode 1, Dark Star Rising. I did actually get some enjoyment out of this episode, especially since I set maybe new character, but not necessarily a new character. An already established character in under a new name and a new look.
Yep.
Obviously,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, obviously in this episode we don't realize who it is that's in this episode, and also the characters themselves don't know who it is until later.
Right, but we do kind of do have a throwback to it was last season, wasn't it, where he was introduced?
Yeah, it was early last season.
Yeah,
it was all that glitters.
That's right. This is Michael Morningstar, and he's taken on the identity of Dark Star. Literally, he's kind of taking an opposite approach here.
Yeah, and his powers have altered slightly, and because of what happened last season as well,
he takes on a very Phantom of the Opera-ish type of look, and
Parasite from Superman almost.
Yeah.
Although Parasite couldn't shoot beams out of his hands, but the idea is still there.
And he wears a very Iron Man-esque sort of mask. Actually, even more than that, I feel he looks a little bit Dr. Doom-ish.
Yeah.
And
Especially since...
Troy's big comment was, what's with all the smoothies?
Yes, a lot of smoothies in this season. I'm trying to figure. I thought there'd be some kind of a payoff. Find out that the smoothies had some sort of a alien, chemical in it that was,
influencing him,
doing something. Or no, it's just they wanted to keep introducing the smoothie mart or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even a product placement because it's not a real thing.
Yeah, I think it is just Ben likes smoothies, or these particular smoothies.
I guess.
But yeah, we also see Dark Star. I don't know if he displayed this in the previous season when he first appeared, or if it's like he was always like this. But he is very manipulative in this season. Like he's playing the manipulator, or the behind the scenes manipulator in this episode, because he's he's the one who tells this plumber about Ben, Gwen, and Kevin.
Yeah.
But obviously the plumber doesn't know anything about Dark Star. Although I feel like the way he looks is should be a red flag.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, he gives false information to this plumber. He gives and then he gives false information for the to this high read commander as well. He kind of engineers everything so that he has a group of powerful people in one area, so he can absorb their energy. I assume it's life force as well, because they are we do see at one point when they when he's absorbing energy from a group of D and aliens, they kind of shrivel up and turn grey. So I'm assuming he's stealing life energy as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially since with the girls, you could see that they get old while he gets younger and healthier. So, and
also turns gold at one point.
Yeah, and we also get a lot of backstory for Kevin as well this season.
Yeah, because this plumber that arrives, under the pretense that they're causing trouble, takes away Kevin's plumber's badge.
Right.
Which we learn is actually very important to Kevin. I believe there was something about his dad being a plumber, which is going to come back later.
And this isn't necessarily something that I was thinking of as a retcon, because you could very easily say this is just information we didn't have previously. So
yeah. With Gwen being being 1/4 anodite,
right?
Something where it's not necessarily a retcon because we just didn't have that information.
Sure.
But I did notice that other plumbers' kids had the same kind of backstory of, yeah, my dad gave this to me.
Yeah. Well, and that kind of makes sense because,
where else would they have gotten it from?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, but we already touched on the fact that the nature of the plumbers seems to have changed a little bit between the first show and this one.
Yeah.
And also, the fact that plumbers are also aliens and not just, like Men in Black here on Earth.
Yeah. Now they're more of a, I suppose, Green Lantern type situation.
Yeah, I guess so. I suppose that's a good analogy. Sure.
Yeah. And of course we have this this plumber who arrives, who is, well, I mean, he's a frog man. He might not be an incursion. That could just be a similar, like a frog or toad type difference. I mean, not much is really given on him, so all we're left to assume is he's a frog man or toad man.
Yep.
I'm not really sure which. They just make a couple of frog jokes. Yeah, and I mean, we also have because of the way Michael's powers have, I guess you could call it, his powers have mutated or evolved.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's based on the fact that last season his powers were drained away from him, and all the people he was absorbing were restored to normal. So I suppose you could consider his powers evolving in a way out of desperation, maybe.
Sure.
because he does have that whole parasite like hunger to absorb from all his energy from people, and that is the way he phrases his powers as being like as a hunger.
Mm-hmm. They certainly imply, at least low key, like a vampiric kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess this could also be a further adding to the whole Lucifer Satan type thing, especially since his name is Morningstar.
Sure.
Because he was like, I guess you could describe it as beautiful and golden, and then now he's like now he's fallen, I suppose, and now he's turned
like
dark.
A demon, sure.
He's not very pretty.
No.
Yeah. Which is why he wears the Iron Man helmet. Yeah, like this. I do find it weird that he, when all of the DNA aliens, when Gwen brings all the DNA aliens to try and like, and they start attacking Michael, and he just starts absorbing energy from all of them.
Yeah.
I do find it weird that he like he says something like that like there's too many to absorb.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, doesn't he absorb like their life force and their strength from them? So shouldn't he just be getting stronger as he absorbs more of them?
Yeah.
Especially since that idea actually does make a little more sense when we consider the final episodes.
I was going to say, when we get to the later episodes and we see him do something very similar, it does seem to make him stronger, and he's certainly drawing on a lot of the DNA aliens. So you almost get the impression that as he got more powerful, he could probably draw from more of them. We'll just assume it's an evolution of his ability. If this was the first time he was doing something like this, he wasn't used to it, but he gets better at it as he goes.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And I also do feel the need to point out, in this episode, we do see Ben transform from one alien to another very quickly. And I'm going to point out that's not master control.
Yep.
That's because of the Omnitrix working slightly differently this time.
Yeah.
Because before it was based on he was an alien, or one particular alien for a set amount of time, and then he'll time out.
Mm-hmm.
But in this season, I think it was the same last season, the transformations are based on energy now.
Yeah.
So think of it as like the battery in a phone. You only have so much, and over time you're using it all up, and then the phone dies, and you have to recharge it.
Right, exactly. And so you can actually use different apps during that amount of charge.
Yeah, and that's essentially what Ben's doing. He's swapping from one alien to another, but he only has so much energy when he's and I think multiple consecutive transformations drains the energy faster. So I think at the end, when he's fighting Michael by himself and he's transforming really quickly and going through all multiple transformations, when he then defeats Michael, he then kind of collapses with exhaustion. I don't know if that was just because of Michael was draining him, or if because of he was overtaxing himself.
We get a lot of that being drained and exhausted in the last couple episodes too. So I don't know.
Well, yeah, great. Even matter if it says you're overusing it.
Right, but we're talking about his own personal physical being drained.
Yeah. Although there is a bit of information from the final two episodes that kind of, I don't know what I think it was a case of. There was information in that episode that I'd forgotten about that actually clears up some questions we had last season. But it's more of a case of once you actually really think about it, then it's kind of everything kind of falls into place then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so is that everything about this episode?
No, it was another good and medias res. This is usually the way they start out the seasons. They're they're in the middle of something and you catch up to them.
Yeah. Most of the primary plot is on Darkstar like tricking and manipulating everyone, and then like a little bit of a subplot about Kevin and like what the plumber's badge means to him and everything. Despite everything, the way he acts, there are some things he does really care about.
Just that darn car. He cares about that darn car.
Yeah. Okay, so the next episode is Alone Together. And this one, I feel like this one's definitely like standard sci-fi plot, especially if it's a situation where it's like two warring, like if it's like a war with two opposing sides.
Yeah, it's a very common trope. I've seen it in so many things. The two, the good guy and the bad guy stuck together, having to work together to survive or get through it, or whatever the case is. Actually, a lot of foreshadowing here that pays off at the end of the season. Won't get into that just yet, but this is one of those incidents that I was referring to.
Yeah, and in my notes, two of the things that I've added is Stargate and Dune, because this episode is on a desert planet and we see a sandworm.
Here, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and obviously Stargate for the jump pad that they end up going through, or accidentally end up through. This episode does actually give us kind of a deeper look at the way the hybrid like think of everyone else in the universe, or the galaxy, I should say.
And as it does that, it certainly establishes a very important story element that I couldn't help but compare to the Daleks from Doctor Who. This whole idea that they are superior. All other life forms in the universe are impure and mongrels and maggots, and if they are in any way sullied by the genes of some other race, they are lesser than and deserve to be destroyed.
Yeah, or exiled from the home world.
And what bugged me so much about this episode is that Ben is offering helpful advice, and this hybrid is just like, no. It's like, dude, I'm trying to keep you from dying.
Yeah, and it's very much this concept of
don't touch me, you fit the animal.
Well, yes, but also he refers to it himself as being infected by his kindness and whatnot, and he definitely sees a better way through Ben's example, but has to reject it because it doesn't fit with his
his cultural belief.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I do get a sense of I do understand the whole Dalek comparison. I kind of got a little bit of a Klingon vibe as well, because there are a few times where he mentions like the honorable action and the honorable this and that.
Yeah,
obviously not necessarily the same as a Klingon. I don't think a Klingon would go to this drastic measure if they were stranded with like a non-Klingon.
Yeah, I mean, Klingons are very much more nuanced. These cartoons tend to be very, very absolutist, almost absurdist in their absolutism. Yeah,
and we do get a couple moments where the this hybrid commander does help and like save Ben a couple times.
Which he explains away as well, because I still need you myself. So, it was selfish. I was saving you because it helps me.
Yeah, and we also have the part where he's like, because hybrids need to be in a very cold environment. The desert heat is like weakening him. So Ben turns into Big Chill to kind of attempt to cool him down.
Yeah,
and he like tells him to stop. Because obviously the hybrid, they can like search for water and like they have their own methods of cooling down.
Yep. we see a great deal of Ben's character here. It's very clear that he has matured into the very heroic, almost pure hero. I got to help you because that's what heroes do, not just because I need you. That's going to become very important later on, because it certainly does inspire this hybrid character. It also starts to show us the leader that he's going to become later on, as he's meeting more of these plumbers' children and stuff like that, and how he can formulate plans and so on and so forth. He's definitely gone through a lot of maturing here. A couple other foreshadowings that are important is that this hybrid loses a hand while trying to protect or save Ben. Ben restores his hand using the Swampfire's vegetative abilities or whatever.
Yeah, because he can regenerate.
Exactly.
And it essentially mixes his DNA with the hybrid, this particular hybrid.
Which, of course, from the hybrid's point of view, he feels he's been tarnished or, diminished in some way, tainted.
Yeah.
So by the end of the episode, when he helps Ben get back through the jump gate or whatever it is, he exiles himself here by choice.
Because he doesn't feel he's pure enough anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that he can't return to the homeworld anymore.
Which at the end of the episode, I'm like, okay, that's fine, but it's not like, he's blowing up the teleporter or whatever. There's no reason that he can't go home anytime he chooses to. So I figured we'd probably be seeing this character again, and like I said, that pays off later in the season.
And especially since this hybrid does actually tell Ben his name, which of course is ridiculously long and complicated.
Right.
All I remember is that Ben nicknamed him Raimi or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure the hybrid commander even kind of got offended or got like I don't know what he did exactly, but when Ben gave him the nickname, I think it was something like he wanted Ben to address him with his full name or something like
that. Which is almost impossible for him. He's like, he couldn't hold that much in his head.
Well, it's like for one of the games I play, my character name is Rexicorca Felpatorius, which is a planet in Doctor Who. Not a lot of people can pronounce that. I end up being called Rax a lot.
Well, and not only that, but if you try using that as a name of a character in a game or something, and you go to type that in,
most of the time I can't.
Usually, there's not enough spaces for it.
Yeah. And we'd also have at the very end that when Ben returns without the hybrid, he is actually kind of upset by the fact that the hybrid chose to stay behind. I think it was more to do with the fact that, like, he was upset that he felt like he was actually getting somewhere with the hybrid. That they actually could get along.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the end, the hybrid then chose to stay behind. I think it was a double effect of Ben having to leave behind, I say friend, but maybe not necessarily like an actual friend. I suppose in his mind he would be a friend at that point. And also that, like, his whole idea of trying to get him to get along didn't quite work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you have this sense of failure. Like, I really tried to help this guy, and I just couldn't help him. And you just feel this helplessness and failure.
Yeah. Okay. The next episode is Good Copy, Bad Copy.
Yeah.
I'll let you go first with this one.
So, of course, this one starts out with, this is a common trope in Ben 10, where you start out en medias res with a story that you think you know what's going on, and then Ben, in his actions, is behaving in a way that's contrary to what you would expect from Ben, only to find out that it's not actually Ben, it's an imposter with the same abilities. And even his cousin and Kevin think, that this is Ben doing these things, and he's like, no, I've been here this whole time, kind of a situation. So it's the introduction of the evil twin trope.
Yeah, but with some variations on the trope.
Exactly.
Like the fact that the copy, or the evil twin, Albedo, or Albedo. I have no idea how to pronounce his name. It's one of those is correct. I think I'll just alternate between the two.
Well, yeah, it should be albedo, but I'm sure they mispronounce it from time to time.
Yeah. So Albedo, who is a Galvin, which is one of Grey Matter's race, or Azimuth for probably an easier one to understand. And Albedo, they do actually explain why he looks like a copy of Ben, is because he tried making his own Omnitrix, but because his was an inferior copy, or I suppose you could call it a knockoff, that resulted in him being turned into a duplicate of Ben. I believe because Ben's the one the Omnitrix is attached to, that's meant that the base life form that the Omnitrix, the base life form, is human. And obviously because Ben's wearing it, it then defaults to looking like Ben. And also the what was it? Yeah, we also have, and because Albedo's Omnitrix, or his knockoff Omnitrix, isn't as high quality as the real thing, it's resulted in him being stuck looking like Ben. I'd also love the moment when Kevin and Gwen run into Albedo thinking it's Ben, and he just starts acting up the idea that he's Ben.
Yeah,
he just starts talking in the third person. It's it's very clearly not Ben, because Ben hasn't been talking like this in the amount of time they've known him.
I just remember something from the last episode. Ben takes off his jacket to try and give some shade to the Highborn, and then later on, he has his jacket back. He left it on this other planet. How did he get his jacket back?
I think he has multiple of the same jacket.
Yeah, just like Max has multiples of his Hawaiian shirt. So
yeah, it's a common thing in kids' cartoons for them to be wearing the same outfit. And I know some cartoons even directly show the character having multiple of the same outfit.
They actually did that earlier on here in Ben 10.
I've seen that in Charlie Brown, where you open his closet and he has all that same shirt with that black stripe on it.
Yep.
Yeah. And I do also like the fact that when Ben actually walks up to Gwen and Kevin while Albedo is trying to pretend to be him, and he just drops the act of trying to be Ben, and then I think makes up some kind of story. He says something about the Omnitrix ripping apart the fabric of the universe or something like that.
Yep.
And he's like, I need your Omnitrix to fix mine or something like that. It's very, very clearly that Albedo just wants the real Omnitrix to fix his own and return himself back to his original form.
So we're dealing with a knockoff Omnitrix here, and we do have a gray matter who is, in quotes, stuck with his primary DNA default being that of human, being that of specifically Ben. So what's interesting is whereas Ben is turning into other aliens, because their DNA is contained within his Omnitrix. It's very similar with this knockoff, but it means Ben's DNA is also in the Omnitrix as well, or at least the knockoffs, to be somebody else's alien, so to speak.
Yeah.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And also the when they're actually like searching, they're in like a factory and they're searching for Albedo.
Mm-hmm.
He like I do like the fact that Kevin like draws an X mark on Ben's cheek, and then he like rubs it off.
Yeah.
And walks the other way. And then when Kevin and Gwen are walking through, and they see Albedo come out from one direction, then it's like, hang on, didn't you go the other way?
Right.
And you like make something up. It's like, oh, I shouldn't have erased Kevin's mark.
Which of course implies that he had been watching them, heard them say that, or saw what they did. Nanette was the one that caught that. Maybe we should call you Ben X. X being the Roman numeral for 10.
Yeah. And also, one of his aliens is called Alien X.
Right.
And also we have when Ben and Albedo are fighting, Albedo actually like draws attention to the fact that that Ben only has so much energy to use different transformations.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's like intentionally trying to get Ben to use up all the energy in the Omnitrix so he turns back into a person.
Right.
And we also see Albedo is a bit more arrogant than Ben. I mean, you can kind of get that idea just by like the way he talks to everyone else.
True.
Yeah. He acts like the Highborn, like he's so much more superior.
Yeah. Although I think for Albedo, it's more based on the fact that he's a Galvin, and he's Galvins are a lot smarter than humans. So I think it's more of an intelligence thing of why he's like acting all superior, rather than genetic perfection or something like that. And we also have Ben and Albedo's Omnitrix is like magnetized to each other or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because we do see the faceplates go past you and then kind of magnetize to each other. Not sure why that happened, but it is kind of a unique thing.
The energy was drawn to itself.
Yeah. We'd also have the if I can find an image. Yeah, the feedback, energy feedback from the two Omnitrixes being fused together. We do see that that energy feedback does kind of affect Albedo, but doesn't affect Ben. So we end up with Albedo discoloring. So now he's got grey hair and he's got a red and black jacket instead of a green and white one. Yeah. Which is another way of, now there's no way of confusing who's who.
Right.
They actually sold a toy of this Albedo when he looked like this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they literally took the standard Ben figure, or the standard 15-year-old Ben figure, and just colored it to look like this.
Sure, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, no sense retooling if you don't have to.
I did write in my notes that I'm pretty sure this is a plot of a Star Trek episode. Actually, yeah, it is. That one where Captain Kirk is split into his good and evil half.
Exactly.
I forgot what that episode's called.
That was
I want to say Turnabout Intruder, or maybe it was The Enemy Within.
No, Turnabout Intruder was the final episode of season 3.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so
that was where I forgot her name, but that female character who wanted to be captain of the Enterprise, so she stole Kirk's body.
You're right.
Yeah. Yeah, the episode where Kirk is split into good and evil is the season 1 episode. Yeah. I just don't remember what specific.
I want to say Enemy Within. I'm not sure.
Oh, that sounds right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yep. And you're showing on your screen right there. At one point, the two Omnitrix come into contact with each other, and there's a transfer of information between them. I forget if there's a great deal of payoff for that later on, but it certainly is a flashpoint that you can use as an explanation for why the working of the Omnitrix changes over time.
Yeah, because I mean, this moment where the two Omnitrixes give fuse together and then give off an energy feedback, it does show that the real Omnitrix, or the difference between like the real Omnitrix and Albedo's knockoff, because his knockoff doesn't actually protect him from the energy feedback. And the energy feedback, well, Ben's Omnitrix, because it's the real thing, it does protect him from that energy.
Yep.
And it does allow Ben to remain exactly the same, or visually the same, but not the case for Albedo. And we also have when they actually finally separate the Omnitrix from each other. I don't know if it was the energy summoned Azimuth, or if he just finally arrived, because he does make mention of the fact that he can detect the energy giving off by the two of them from halfway across the galaxy.
Right.
Arrives and removes the dial from Albedo's Omnitrix, which forcing him to then remain looking like this.
Melissa Harris refers to him as Bizarro Ben. That's actually an apt analogy.
Yeah.
You also get, just like Ben gains some of the character of the aliens that he's inhabiting, you get Albedo having a craving for chili fries, and he's disgusted by them, but he, clearly because of the Ben influence, craves them as well. To the point that later on, at the end, when he's imprisoned, he doesn't want the food they're giving him. He wants cheese for our chili fries. And
he also brings up the fact that I don't know what he said specifically, but he does mention something about being trapped as a human is bad enough, or is a prison sentence enough.
Yeah.
Although I've never seen chili fries being served in a paper bag like that.
Yeah, that was a little weird. But again, we get a little bit more of the story with Julie, and we actually see Ben trying to study. If it hadn't been for this whole situation, he would have been able to study.
Yeah, I mean he still ended up doing well in I forget what, I think it's physics. I think
it was. Yeah.
He does mention that's his worst topic or something like that, and he does end up doing not amazingly, but he does okay
because he actually put effort into it.
Yeah, and also that Ben's not, he's smarter than everyone else perceives him sometimes.
Right.
Although I don't know how he doesn't turn into gray matter every time he's got homework to get gray matter to do it for him.
There does, you would think that he could take advantage of that, whether it's that or what is it, big brain or whatever it is?
Brainstorm,
yeah.
Yeah, the two smartest aliens that he has. Although currently I don't think he has access to gray matter right now.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Oh,
we
one
would have made reference to that.
There was something I forgot on the previous episode. The good copy, bad copy. The title is, of course, an allusion to the whole good cop, bad cop concept.
Yeah. I think there's a few episodes that are very clearly referencing something else. Okay, the next episode, Save the Last Dance, which I am like 50% sure that's the title of a movie.
Yep. It's the title of a song.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah, it's been covered by Michael Bublé. Bruce Willis actually is my personal favorite version of the song, but you know, most people know it by the Drifters.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, on Bruce Willis's album, this is a little bit off topic, but in Bruce Willis's album, Return of Bruno, he does a cover of Save Last Dance for Me. And on the album art, you know, when you look it up, he dedicates the song to his daughter, Rumor. I thought that was really sweet.
Yeah. So this episode...
Also a very sweet episode because it's, you know, it really does progress the whole romantic subplot of Kevin and Gwen.
Yeah. And to some extent, Ben and Julie as well.
True.
Because in this episode, she's actually very helpful.
Yep.
Because Ben keeps transforming into Big Chill and then waking up in weird places, kind of like a werewolf.
Yep. And it was not only does it have undertones of the situation he had with
Ghost
Freak, but even Gwen references that. References back to that incident.
But then in this episode, they do actually, instead of just recycling the plot line, they do actually make some differences with the overall idea.
Yeah, and it's I feel, again, this is a trope that is reused in science fiction. We've seen it in Star Trek Voyager, Star Trek The Next Generation. We've seen it in all kinds of things. But now that I'm thinking about it in retrospect, and I'm thinking back on this episode after seeing the rest of the season, it could also be seen as a little bit of foreshadowing of some of what the purpose of the Omnitrix is.
Yeah. Because I think this is a rarity. They actually explain what's going on in the episode where the confusion is.
Yeah.
Rather than bringing up something, letting everyone just sit in the confusion and then give an answer like a couple episodes later, or maybe a season later in some cases.
So the framing element is actually the B story, where Gwen has a dance coming up at school, and she wants Kevin to take her.
Yeah, and
we get a little peek behind the curtain on Kevin because he really likes Gwen. So you know, not only does he feel obligated to take her, but he's very nervous about looking foolish and not knowing how to dance and not knowing what fork to use and all this kind of stuff. So he's getting all kinds of advice, and he gets this advice from Ben, which initially seems, oh, well, that's pretty cool that Ben knows all of this. But later on, Gwen is kind of tipped off. Wait a minute, you got advice from Ben? He knows about this kind of stuff? Yeah, it could happen. Well, you find out that Ben is going through some things because of what's happening with, you know, the Omnitrix. You also notice that Julie seems keyed into what's going on because he's acting a little strangely. She picks up on it. And you get the distinct impression that both Julie and Gwen have greater insight into what's going on than Kevin does, and you figure out why by the end of the episode.
Yeah, and we also have the every time Ben turns into an alien, he then immediately transforms into Big Chill, and they make sure to actually show that he does actually turn into the alien he picks, but then immediately it changes to Big Chill.
Yeah, it's like I kind of likened it to the werewolf when someone turns into a werewolf. They don't remember anything that they've done as a werewolf. And then they wake up in a field somewhere going, what am I doing in a field?
Yeah.
And they actually tell the story in a very clever way. Always when Ben turns into an alien, there's a reason behind it. He's trying to save somebody. He's trying to stop the bad guys, whatever.
Yeah.
And when he's turning into, what's the name of this alien again?
Big Chill.
Big Chill. When he turns into Big Chill, he still ends up doing the rescue, stopping the bad guy, whatever it is. But it turns out to be a complete side effect of Big Chill taking on its own purpose, which is eating metals and doing whatever it's doing, causing a lot of destruction, it turns out.
Yeah. And after eating a whole bunch of metal and also drinking some molten metal, I believe it was.
Yeah, that one took me by surprise. I was like, wow, actually drinking molten metal, that seems pretty intense. And yes, I understand that Big Chill's power is cold, but I had no idea that it could do that. Of course, we get a big payoff on exactly how much cold ability Big Chill has in the last episode of the season, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. We also have right near the end when I think it's the same location he keeps waking up in, was like a big crater in the ground with bits of metal in it.
Yep.
And he's created this like metal, this pile of metal.
Yep.
Or a metal hill or whatever it is. And then it's like revealed that actually it's because Big Chill is going through his reproductive cycle.
Yep. So he's actually making a metal nest. Yeah.
And he then like little bubbles come out and form into baby necrophrygians. I think he hatched like 14 of them, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
He's a mommy.
Yeah. You get a lot of jokes about being a good mommy and stuff like that.
Yeah. And then after all of that, Kevin does actually pull up some information on what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So he pulls up there's like a necrophrygian reproduction cycle. I don't know if he mentioned how many times this happens or how long it is.
But what's surprising is that it's something that happens within the Omnitrix itself. I mean, you don't get the distinct impression that any of the other aliens are trying to assert their own behavior through the Omnitrix this way. But the reason I say that this is foreshadowing is the Omnitrix containing the DNA of all these different aliens, we'll find out a little bit later, is specifically because the Omnitrix was intended as an ark to hold these genomes that could literally restore lost races.
Here's the other thing.
Yeah.
All of the aliens we've seen Ben turn into so far have been male. Apparently, one of the DNAs that's in the Omnitrix is female because it gave birth.
Well, I think you're stretching the definition of male and female here. I think we get the distinct impression that this particular race doesn't have a gender. They apparently are reproducing asexually.
Yeah, necrophrygians asexual or reproduce asexually.
Mm-hmm.
They don't find a mate and then produce children. They just do it themselves.
No, but the idea is fairly sound because they certainly riff on that with Julie and Gwen making references to his nesting behavior and how he was more sensitive and keyed into the advice that he was giving Kevin and so forth. Speaking of sensitive, the culmination of the dance, they've had to miss the dance because of everything that was going on here. And Gwen is incredibly disappointed that she's going to miss the opportunity to have a dance, and Kevin still grants her a dance by dancing with her through the radio on his car out in the desert. Very, very sweet.
Yeah. And we do also have when Julie is like trying to be helpful for Ben, she travels with Ben and follows and takes notes of everything he's doing.
That was kind of funny too. She said she'll I forget everything that's happening. Okay, I'll take notes of everything you do. And she is like meticulous in how she takes those notes.
Yeah. You go to here. 902.
You scratched your nose. Stuff like that,
Yeah. And I believe Ben even said that when he was surprised that when she says in a note that he turned into Big Chill instead of Jet Ray, he said I think he said something like that all he remembers is turning into Jet Ray and then just blank after that.
Yep.
Okay. Next episode is Undercover. So this one has the return of Cooper from the original series.
Yep. Oh, let's see here.
I have also written my notes that they make a joke about the movie The Fly, because it starts out with them using a teleporter pad to try and teleport a banana, and Ben makes a joke about like a fly landing on it and merging with it and turning into a banana fly.
Banana fly, yeah, exactly.
And then it kind of explodes.
Yeah, I think it just like rots and then just explodes everywhere. And then that causes the teleport pad to malfunction and they have to like throw it out of the room before it blows up.
But that was an awfully big explosion for a banana.
Well, I think it had more to do with the machine than the banana itself.
Yeah.
But this absolutely is important because this particular technology is part of the overarching story of, what's going on with the DNA aliens and so forth.
Yeah.
Plus, the reintroduction of Cooper. Cooper is going to be playing a bigger role later on in the season.
Yep. And they also, when they search for Cooper, obviously the whole first part with them having a teleporter pad and then it failing and then Kevin going to Cooper, obviously that was all just like I suppose like a plot convenience to come up with a reason for why they would go to Cooper. Yeah, so when they go to Cooper, it's like his place is completely deserted. He's not there, and he luckily had the foresight to create a message or recording what happened, and it like shows that the DNA aliens broke in and kidnapped him and took him to the same location that the group first met Professor Paradox, the abandoned army base. Okay, hold on a minute.
Sure.
Okay, there we go. I'm back.
We also get that Cooper has a puppy love type of crush on Gwen. which kind of bothers Kevin, but not too much. He's able to be humorous about it.
Yeah. I think it only bugged him just a tiny bit. I think he was more of enjoying making fun of Cooper about it.
I think it's rather sweet.
And of course, we also get there are some cool moments in this episode, like Ben turning into Echo and telling Kevin to absorb a specific metal.
Yeah,
and then uses his sonic powers.
That was kind of funny, and so Gwen would, strike Kevin to cause him to resonate, which would allow Ben as Echo to project it. But that means she's beating on Kevin, and he even comments on it. You hit me a little hard there, didn't you? Yes, I did. That was pretty funny.
Ben's parents find out that he can turn into aliens, so he's grounded, so he has to do it remotely.
Yep.
That's no, that's not this episode. That's 2 episodes later.
Yeah, we're getting there. Yeah, I have some things to say about that episode.
Okay, I think that confusion is because the image from that episode is on the screen right now, right here. I don't know why Google does this. Just has some episodes that are from this episode and then a couple episodes that aren't.
Right.
This episode is not from this season. That's from a different season. Actually, this episode's from a different season as well. I have no idea why Google does this. Maybe I just have to be very, very specific.
Yeah.
So that's kind of hard when the episode this right here is probably I probably could type in season 2 and then undercover, but because Google's really weird sometimes, it'll probably still bring images that are unrelated.
One thing that you can do is put the word undercover, the title of the episode, in quotes. So it's saying it has to include undercover. Leave out anything else that's Ben 10 Alien Force. Unless it's specific to undercover.
I did not know about that.
Yep.
Oh.
That should clean it up a little bit anyway.
Yeah, I can still see a few episodes that are from unrelated episodes, but it might also be a case where there isn't that many images related to the episode, so Google then decides to bring in other images.
It could be. It's also if there's an episode that references back to undercover in the text somewhere on the page, it'll still come up.
Okay. There is also the annoying thing. It's probably less Google and more YouTube, but the bell symbol that says when notifies you, either when someone's commented on your video or
right, mm-hmm.
or replied to a comment you've made or something like that.
Sure.
And it's supposed to either turn red or have a number underneath it to show how many notifications you have there. For some reason, I don't know if it's specific to me or if it's just a weird thing YouTube does. Sometimes it stays grayed out and doesn't show the number of notifications until I like click on it, then it will actually show them.
I've noticed that that's because if you're on a YouTube screen, it needs to be that you need to refresh the screen for it to update the updates, so to speak.
Yeah, that's weird because it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's weird. Even when I refresh the page, it still doesn't always do that.
Yep.
So I think it might be partially just a weird way that YouTube works. Okay. So next episode is Pet Project, which is another Forever Night episode, and they have a doctor. I think his name's Jacob or Joseph Chadwick or something like that.
Yep.
And he's voiced by Tim Curry, or at least he sounded like Tim Curry to me.
Let's see here.
It did sound like Tim Curry.
Yes, it was. It was Tim Curry. I completely missed that. But yeah. So this I'm not going to complain too much because it ultimately turns out pretty good, and I'm kind of pleased with it. But this episode reintroduces Ship that has been missing since Ship was introduced, and it's like, what the heck? Where, no explanation where he's been. Well, kind of a little bit of inference of where he's been, but definitely no, even acknowledgement, but yeah. Ship definitely does become the
force to be reckoned with.
I was gonna say, well, yes, I was gonna say the Grogu Baby Yoda of the episode, but it's very difficult not to feel very affectionately about Ship.
Yeah, the Ship is more of a pet than a baby,
right?
Yeah. And because he's a pure galvanic mechamorph,
right?
I mean, when he merges with any kind of technology, he can then transform into that.
Yep.
Which he then displays multiple times, because he obviously Gwen is obviously revealed that Julie has he's been coming back to Julie every so often.
Yep.
And he's obviously he's come across various technology, merged with it, and then come back and shown Julie that you can transform into whatever it is he's merged with.
Yeah, because she even says, "Show me a new trick, and you'll turn into something." Okay, turn back now.
Turns into a submarine and completely destroys her fence.
Yeah.
Oops.
And we also have the Forever Knights, or specifically the Forever Knight Doctor, who's created this ship thing out of various alien technology that the Forever Knights have acquired.
Right.
Yeah, and this is also related to the previous episode, where the previous Forever Knights episode, where Ben kind of initially helped them to get a hold of the alien dragon, but then he let it go.
And this is the progression of them trying to find a way to go and wage war on the dragons.
Yeah. And for some reason, the Forever Knight Doctor, he knows about about Ship, about galvanic mechamorphs, apparently what they can do. Because I can't think of any other reason why he would make this, but then not use this particular ship. Rather kidnap Ship and then use him to merge with that and then become a version of that.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely a kind of a case where I can understand going that route, because it's more convenient to have a living thing under your control that can just become that ship or any other kind of technology you want it to. But the fact that he for some reason, the Forever Knight Doctor for some reason knows all this information, and they don't really explain how he knows all that.
So this becomes an origin story of sorts as Ship becomes a new ship that he can return to whenever they need a ride and need to go into space for space reasons.
Yeah.
Which is kind of pretty much exactly the way the conversation goes between Kevin and Gwen. Why would we need a spaceship? For going into space, to do space things.
There is one kind of detail that I noticed. It's not exclusive to this episode. It's in like multiple episodes of this show.
Mm-hmm.
That not all the aliens get like a unique transformation sequence when Ben turns into one of them. Some of them do get like a unique thing, but then some of the others, they don't really get anything unique. It's just sort of an X-ray on Ben's skeleton, and then it grows giant, and then he's another alien.
It does seem that they've given thought to at least certain ones that kind of make sense, where you can kind of imagine the physical transformation that happens, like when he's turning into Humongosaur or whatever it's called. You could imagine his musculature and his skeleton altering, changing, growing, and so forth. But some of the others where you don't really even understand what their anatomy is, it's kind of hard to picture that transformation.
But it is kind of neat that they're showing like his skeleton and the transformation. Troy pointed that out last night when we were talking about it.
Yeah, because it's weird. Like so like Spider Monkey, we do actually see him like grow an extra pair of arms. The tail, it grows a tail, and we see like his actual head change shape and everything. But then with someone like Swampfire or Humongosaur, I can kind of understand the skeleton growing because Humongosaur is quite large. But then if he turns into like Swampfire, it's not quite exactly the same. I mean, skeleton still grows, but like Swampfire's not that much bigger than Ben.
Right.
And there's no like actual unique plant-related transformation. Although we do get, I think later in the final episode, we do actually get Swampfire has like a unique transformation sequence. But sometimes it does kind of feel like they're just kind of repeating like a very simple transformation, like for time's sake or something like that.
Yeah.
Or to reduce the cost of it, maybe.
Well, I also notice there's a bit of a story element to it too. I mean, if you spend that much time on transformation, everybody around you could be dead by the time you turn into your hero mode.
It always gets me. Every time he changes into something, he has to announce what he is. It's like, dude, we can.
I think that's an anime thing. That might be like an anime influenced thing.
Probably.
Yeah, because anime, they do. I know in a lot of anime they do kind of announce like transformations and attacks and that sort of thing. Yeah, although I think that is one minor misunderstanding about the transformations that I don't know if the show ever explains, is the actual transformation sequences. They're not like prolonged. They're instant. They're like details that are meant for the viewer of the actual show, not the. Not like an in-universe thing.
Like it's a slow-mo thing you're seeing from his point of view, not what everyone around him is seeing.
Yeah, because everyone around him, they'll see him just slam down the Omnitrix, and then he's that alien. They don't like see anything else.
Right.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of, I forget what cartoon it is, but Troy, you might remember, where the person would change into something and go shape of a waterfall.
Oh, that was the
Super Friends.
The Super Friends, the Wonder Twins.
Yeah, the Wonder Twins.
Wonder Twins, yeah.
For a minute, I thought you were going to do something related to Voltron, because I do recall that being like, was it, where they're combining, they like formed head or legs and arms, and they like form the head or something like that.
Right, Mechazord. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There's also one thing that I noticed. They mentioned like the Forever Knights being like all about medieval England and knights and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Julie even holds up like I think it's a newspaper with like some kind of advert for a castle or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it even says like was it Lancelot Manor or Castle or something like that?
Lancelot Estates, I think it was, or something like that.
Yeah. And I just immediately think, Lancelot was French, not English. There's a detail there. But I get the idea they're going for, because it's Arthurian legend, and that's all like knights and...
Right.
Yeah. Although I feel like the whole relationship between Arthur and Lancelot could technically be considered like a metaphor for the relationship between England and France.
Oh, sure.
I suppose I could save that conversation for if we ever do like anything specifically relating to like Arthurian legend. As well as if somebody does like a rewatch of the movie Excalibur.
Oh yeah, that definitely has to happen.
When I get to
Or the Disney movie Sword in the Stone. But that movie doesn't like adapt the whole story. That's only like the early part.
Yep.
Okay, next episode. Okay, now we're at Grounded.
Oh gosh.
Now we're at the Ben's, like the episode with Ben's mother and father like learning that he can transform into
So this is the episode I was talking about that I felt we got some big retcons in. His relationship and the nature of his parents and their character and what they do and don't know in relationship to Max and the plumbers, and it was just a lot for me in this episode that really kind of bugged me. Maybe the biggest thing that bugged me was in messing around with the character of his parents. You saw a glimpse of the parents from the alternate reality of the live action that I hated.
Yeah, there's actually a funny detail that I noticed when I looked up details for this episode. Ben's parents in this episode are voiced by the actors who played Ben's parents in that live action movie.
And I also noticed that they were drawn to look like them as well. I caught that. That was kind of in my face because it was kind of still a sore subject for me.
Yeah.
So,
although they don't really act like Ben's parents in that movie.
A little bit, though. A little bit. Because she's earlier on when she says something about, finding his higher power, whatever. It's like, oh no, not this crap again. The hippy dippy BS crap.
Very like hippie parents or something like that. In this episode, they're not quite like that.
No, but there was just enough of it for me to cringe,
Yeah.
What got me too were the other inconsistencies. Like they take away Ben's phone, and then like a scene later, he's talking to Gwen on the phone. It's like, didn't he get his phone taken away from him?
I think that's like a house phone rather.
No, he had a cell phone in his room.
Yes, but he's saying that he may have been speaking on the house phone.
Yeah.
But yeah, but the one thing that I did really like about this episode, is we definitely get to see the maturity of Ben here, where they're ripping him and scolding him and grounding him and stuff, and you lied directly to our face. How could you do that? And he said, well, basically because of what you've taught me all my life. The sum total of taking responsibility and caring about people and all this stuff kind of outweighs one lie. I have to do this because it's who I am and it's who you made me. And it's like, wow. It's kind of like, I'm sorry, Mom and Dad, but I'm a little bit beyond the individual lessons. I've learned those lessons. I've moved on, and you're not going to fundamentally change me now. You've already laid that groundwork.
Yeah, it's like, and then they end up with one of the plumber weapons, and it's like, so they knew about the plumbers all the time.
So up until now, they had established that the parents didn't know anything about this. It was all hidden from them by Max. And now all of a sudden, oh yeah, I've known about it all along. And this has been in the attic all this time. And, it's like, oh, guys, really?
Actually, I think the only time we've seen Ben's parents before this episode were both like out of continuity appearances, like that live action movie, and also the final episode of season 4 of the original show.
No, there was also the episode where they were turned into aliens and were fighting. And
that was the Destroy All Aliens movie.
Yep.
Although considering, I think that was they explained that. I think in that movie they explained that that they won't remember any of that. Like once they were returned normal, I think their
Exactly my
memories were
point.
wiped or something like that.
Exactly my point. They don't remember any of that, so you're still left with them not knowing about any of this stuff. You know?
I don't think that altered their memory of like the plumbers or anything to do with Grandpa Max. I think it only erased their memory of that moment in that events in that movie when they were turned into aliens.
Right. That's what I mean. So there's still no indication that he ever knew any of this. In fact, it's almost overtly stated that they don't. So now that they have he has all this information, he's known about it all along. You know, I mean, yes, we have to know that Gwen's father knows about, you know, the alien nature of Gwen and his mother. Yeah, that which had to be established, but yeah, this is, I don't know.
Yeah. I think there was also a moment where Ben's father does mention about I think he says something like that Grandpa Max thought he didn't know about that, but he does, or something like that.
Yeah.
There is also another thing with this episode that I primarily thought of when I was watching it, and this is actually a very common story with superhero stories that or specifically heroes who have a secret identity, is that at some point that the parents find out, and then there's a small amount of conflict with that, and then it's resolved.
Yeah.
And it kind of made me think, like, the whole argument that people make about heroes having secret identities and that sort of thing. And I just thinking, I don't think heroes having secret identities is that bad of a thing. I think it's more to do with the way it's used.
Right. And it's okay to have a natural progression. If you lock them into nobody can ever know what my secret identity is, you're kind of limiting yourself. But the idea that over time Lois Lane figures it out, you know.
Yeah. Or Superman tells her or something like that.
Yeah, they covered this in Buffy too, her mother finding out about her. And it's like you know, it's bound to happen. Your mother is, you know, you're living with her.
Yeah.
She knows you're sneaking out. It's going to have to come out.
Yeah. And one of the the thing with with heroes who are very set on no one knowing their secret, just everyone being in the dark about it. That also does kind of in the long run hurt the whole people's perception of heroes with secret identities. Because I have seen people make arguments about secret identities being
deceptive,
obsolete or out of fashion or something like that. And one example I thought of that perfectly encapsulated that idea is the Blue Beetle Jaime Reyes, from DC, because in the pre-New 52 Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle, there was actually a point where he would actually reveal his secret identity to his family, and obviously there was a little bit of conflict there, and then eventually they accepted him. But so he was revealing his secret to close friends and family, but he wasn't revealing his secret to the entire world or anything like that.
Right.
Which is probably how I would prefer secret identity to be, family and close friends, but not just to anyone and everyone.
Actually, I would say the modern incarnation of Superman is a good one too, you know, where his family all knows, but anyone outside of that, you know, probably not, because and let's face it, if there's somebody who needs to have a secret identity, it's Superman. He's even pointed it out in many, many stories. If everybody knew who I was, you know, I would have to be Superman all the time.
Yeah.
I would never have a life of my own. And it does fall into that whole celebrity concept. Let's face it.
Yeah.
Anybody who knows anything about celebrities knows why a secret identity is necessary. Why Marilyn Monroe used to put on dark glasses and a wig when she would go out, and how to this day so many celebrities try to conceal themselves if they want to go anywhere and do anything.
Yeah. I also have the Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle. There's also a negative example of like secret identity with his New 52, the New 52 version of his character, who for some reason, I don't know if it was an editorial mandate or if the writer himself wanted this, but he was like dead set on Blue Beetle having a secret identity and nobody knowing that. Like it even got to the point where the Scarab was doing like all sorts of horrible things in order to make sure no one knew Jaime Reyes was the Blue Beetle. Like there was even a point in that comic where he was trying to tell his friend that he's the Blue Beetle, or I think he was it. Yeah, and the Scarab literally made Jaime Reyes vomit every time he tried to tell him. I mean, it even got so bad that the Scarab itself even attempted to kill his friend in order to prevent him from learning the secret.
So it sounds a lot like a plot point that was used for a long time with, and it may still be, I don't know, with Spider-Man. His spider sense would tingle whenever there was the possibility of somebody discovering his secret identity, because as long as the character believed that there was a danger in his secret identity being revealed, the power, the source of power, whatever, would respond appropriately to it. Just like you have a fight or flight situation when anything that you find stressful is about to happen. If you're about to go on stage and speak in front of an audience, your heart starts to beat and you have the fight or flight response. It's not really dangerous, but your central nervous system perceives it as danger. So here we have this example of seeing the parents go through the arc of not only finding out about him, but finding out that he's a hero and realizing they really ought to be proud of him. And it's not only that he had to go and save his friend, that's why he disobeyed. His friend was in need. It was his responsibility. But as his father points out, heck, he was saving the whole world. And he does this on a regular basis.
Oh yeah, this episode does actually link into the hybrid conspiracy a little bit with the whole oil tanker having what is it, some kind of fluid or liquid or something.
Yep.
And then using and putting xenocytes inside that and transporting them somewhere, or I don't know where they were specifically transporting it to. But I know they were sending it to different places. And we also have, like with the Ben disobeying them, there's like there is a few times where Ben tries to sneak away, but then when it gets to the point where Ben just stops trying to not upset his parents while doing this. He's like, okay, this is enough. It's gone too far. Someone is a friend is in danger. I'm not gonna He's like, do whatever you want when I come back, but for right now, I am my friend needs me.
Yeah.
So he just transforms and then just breaks through the wall. And he's like, sorry, I'll fix that when I come back. And goes off.
That really is a moment that every child goes through with their parents in becoming an adult. When you finally say, look, I've been trying to go through the motions and be sensitive to your feelings and be the child here. But the fact is, I have adult responsibilities I need to deal with now, Mom and Dad. You're just going to have to accept that.
Yeah. Okay. Is that everything we have to say on this episode?
Yep, I think so.
I'm curious. Is this the specific episode?
I think this was the one that I had. Yeah, this is the one I had the biggest problem with as far as retcons and characterizations and stuff like that. And it just makes me hope that we don't see a whole lot more of the parents, because anything that even remotely resembles the parents from the live action, I don't want anything to do.
Yeah. Okay, next episode is Voided.
Yep. We return to the void.
Yep, the null void. And we get the return of a couple characters as well.
Yeah, quite a few. A lot, well, obviously everyone that got sent to the void. That
Helen and Manny, who left and went into the null void portal at the end of, well, not the end, but like in last season.
Yep, Dr. Animo as well.
Yep, he was in the null void for some reason.
The revelation that Netter and I had both kind of suspected back when it originally happened, Grandpa Max, is not dead. His apparent sacrifice just transferred him into the null void.
And also the hybrid commander, all the DNA aliens there, and also the building and the area itself.
Yep.
I don't know why it didn't transport when she shielded Ben, Ken, and Kevin.
Well, we also see though in this episode, Gwen has the ability to go in and out of the
open up a portal to the null void.
Yeah, that void doesn't seem to be very secure, because it seems like anyone can just come and go as they please.
Well, keep in mind that the void isn't meant to be, it's being used as a prison, but that's not its purpose. So
but those farmer dudes said that it was a penal colony.
Well, yes, it's being used as that. Australia's purpose was not to be a prison, but that's what it was used for. God did not create a big island for the purpose of England to have a prison colony. Yeah,
and there was also the fact that access to the null void isn't like a widespread thing, right? At least on Earth. Because obviously we've seen them go to the null void multiple times, because of Grandpa Max had a null void projector. Mm-hmm. Apparently he had two, because the two looked very different from each other. Mm-hmm. Unless that was meant to be the exact same null void portal from the original series, but
could have just had a different housing. You never know.
Yeah, but and then also we have Gwen being able to open a portal to the null void, and also a couple other planets elsewhere in the galaxy also have access to the null void dimension, because obviously they're sending their prisoners in there as well.
Right, but what we see is that there are indigenous species in the null void.
Yeah, who chose to travel into the void to start a new life there.
Yep.
Which might be a retcon, but considering the null void is a pocket dimension and could theoretically be massive, or could potentially be very small, or absurdly large.
Yeah.
So it is very possible that all the people who went to the null void to settle there were just far enough away from the location where we saw in the original series.
Yep.
And we also have, as mentioned before, Dr. Animo returns, except he's going by a different name and he looks very different.
He looks very different. Yeah. They've definitely changed him. But this is another one of those retcons where you can say, well, there's been a lot that's happened here. We don't know what's happened between then and now, and why.
5 years.
Obviously, Dr. Animo has been drawing energy from this doodah. That becomes an important point. So that certainly seems like a plausible explanation for why he's physically different.
And also why he's much more imposing and difficult to fight.
As you would expect, Max has taken on a leadership role among, the kids that got
the plumber's kids, or some of the plumber's kids, and a couple other random aliens that are in the null void who don't exactly like Animo's or the way that Animo is running
they kind of start a resistance, so to speak.
Yeah, I do find it funny that one of the some of the aliens that we see alongside no, I don't think it's this bit. I think it's a different bit. But some of the at least 3 of the aliens we see with Manny, Helen, Pierce, and Grandpa Max is at least 3 of the aliens that we saw from the original series. Because we saw a Wixillian orc beast, the big green thing from the original series, or the first episode of season 2, and then we also see a havoc beast, which is unusually large for some reason, and then we also see a Vulpamancer, which I think is this exact same animation model from the original series, just changed blue instead of orange. I do find it strange that they had one havoc beast, which, as I recall, those things are basically just chaotic monsters that will attack and everything. So the fact that one is like standing right next to them and just like not like doing anything, just very calm. Although I do understand how Havoc Beast, at least not being a nuisance to them, but a nuisance to animals, probably a good thing in the long run for their resistance.
Yep.
It's a little strange though. We also have that in this dimension, Dr. Animo is going by a different name. I think it's Devoid or something like that. And also he isn't aware that there's somebody around who actually knows who he is.
Yeah,
I would imagine it's definitely been a while since he's seen Ben.
Yeah, because he's like, he knows my name. How does he know my name?
Yeah. I think it's also a fact that he's not seen Ben in like 5. Well, I'd say about 5 years. We don't know when Animo entered the Null Void. And also Ben's turning into different aliens than what Dr. Anno saw the last time we fought him.
Right.
So that's probably also adding to the confusion as to why he doesn't know who Ben is at first.
They do try to keep Max's identity a secret. They're referring to him as the Wrench.
Yeah.
But let's face it, the Wrench, plumber, kind of a little bit of an illusion there. And if we weren't keyed into it before, when Ben is going to see the Wrench and he's told not to eat anything that he offers you, I'm like, yeah, that's Grandpa. You know?
Yeah. I also do like that this episode actually I know the Plumber's Helpers episode showed Pierce a little bit, but they didn't really because he wasn't present in that episode. I think he was. I don't know if they actually talked about what happened to Pierce in that episode. But obviously this episode does actually show Pierce, and he does actually we actually do see him being more active in the story.
Yep.
And also we also see that that Manny has lost one of his hands and is now replaced with a robot hand.
I also like how Grandpa's telling Ben, "You don't need me anymore.
Yeah.
You've surpassed me."
Again, the
maturity level.
Maturity, but now it's being acknowledged in story, you know.
Yeah. And we also have that Dr. Animo has control over the Null Guardians, which are these things, which look pretty much identical to how they looked in the original series.
Yeah.
It's not too surprising that Dr. Animo has control of them, considering he somehow had a sway over animals, or he could get animals to be loyal to him, and also he would mutate them as well. Obviously, he hasn't done anything to these things. I think it might just be something related to the machine, or maybe it's just he just has this ability to control them. Maybe they are classified as animals.
And we get sort of a juxtaposition when Ben wants to shut down the machine. He realizes that Animo is drawing his power from the machine. I thought initially he was going to try to get Animo out of there to defeat him, but he's shutting down the whole machine. That'll take care of the whole situation.
Yeah.
And it appears that he's sacrificing himself by jumping into the machine, and Grandpa reacting to that, which I'm sitting there going, yep, that's fair play. You had that coming, Grandpa. But we do get to see just how powerful Big Chill's chill is. Because he literally freezes this whole, I'm just going to call it, this nuclear device,
Genesis device.
Yeah. And but what does that do? It not only depowers Animo, but it depowers the machine so that it can't open up the rift that just would destroy our realm.
I think it was drilling a hole in the dimension so that he could then escape and take like his Null Guardians and whatever else with him back to the normal world.
Mm-hmm.
Although that does kind of raise the question, as if he's doing that, why not just use the exact same method he used to get here in the first place?
Yeah, don't know.
Which I think the only other way to solve that problem is to like say that he's not here by choice, but been imprisoned here. But then that kind of involves a whole bunch of other like explanations as well. I'd also like that once Animo is depowered, Max just knocks him out by punching him in the face.
Yes, right, because he's depowered. So it's like
because Ben even points out that when Dr. Animo is outside of the fortress, he's strong, but he's not as strong. And when he's inside the fortress, he's like stronger.
Yeah.
And like Ben even takes note of the fact that he's stronger inside the fortress than when he's outside of it. And he also puts together that the machine is what's making him this powerful as well. Next episode, Inside Man. Have noted that this episode, I feel like, is very similar to a Star Trek episode. I don't remember if there is a Star Trek episode like this, but I feel like there probably has been.
One doesn't stand out to me immediately, but it's a common trope where you have the Confederate or whatever you would call it, the sleeper agent or whatever.
Yeah.
But a bit of a mystery. You have a character who is trying to get away from the DNA aliens. He's stolen something from them. Doesn't have his full memory. He's trying to piece it all together.
Yeah.
And then there's the plot twist.
Right.
And he's also stronger than a normal human.
Yeah. So you're starting to wonder, is he himself like a plumber's helper or something like that? It's certainly how it you would expect things to go with the history that we've had so far.
Yeah, I do find it weird that at the early in the episode when I think his name's Tyler, I think. Yeah, when he like tries to hitch a ride with someone, and he like first he like opens his wallet to check his name because he doesn't quite remember that. But then he then brings up about the whole aliens messing with his mind and all this sort of stuff, and then the guy who picked up then just sort of kicks him out and then drives off. I just think that's kind of mean. And I know he kind of sounds a little crazy, but he doesn't sound that crazy.
Now, the thing that I thought was interesting is they were focusing a lot on the guitar pick, And I figured that was the key that they were looking for.
Yeah, I did too.
But turned out to just be a guitar pick.
It just turned out that it was a mnemonic for him, trying to help him remember, or it was a touchstone for him.
Yeah. And we also have, so he gets into this. So at the beginning of the episode, he's driving this truck, and he's partly remembering what he did, that he snuck into the truck and drove it away. And this truck was carrying a key, or like a machine that was important for the DNA aliens overall, or for that overall hybrid conspiracy and like their plan, I think.
Yep.
And apparently there were DNA aliens inside it, like I would assume protecting it. And we also have the part where when Ben, Gwen, and Kevin like run into him, and they try and help him, they do then realize that he's actually that the reason his memory is fragmented and that he's like really strong is because actually he is a DNA alien, or he has been turned into a DNA alien as well. I'm not sure what. I think they mention about him like breaking the programming in by himself.
Yeah, I would liken this a lot to Doctor Who with the Cybermen, and we've had episodes where people's conversion into a Cyberman doesn't quite take, and their humanity remains and overrides the programming.
Yeah,
that's kind of what you're getting here. That's what makes him the inside man. He realizes that he's being used in part of a plot that's literally going to destroy the world, and he can't let that happen. So he's trying to stop it.
Yeah. And we also have some memory flashes of him, and like him seeing the hybrid commanders, like talking about the plan, and like having actual like images on the screen showing what's going on. Or I don't think they outright show everything, but they do kind of give it a little bit of flash here and there of what's going on.
Yep.
And that the key, or the machine that he drove off in the truck, is very important to that plan.
References back to the town that was taken over by the DNA aliens.
Yeah,
that they're doing something there. Why they're doing it?
Yeah, because the whole town is cloaked.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we forgot to mention that in Undercover, Cooper was taken because he was making a cloaking device forced to make a cloaking device for them, to then hide the town,
right?
And also the arch that they're building there as well,
which is going to come back as in the penultimate episode.
Yeah.
Here we also the resolution for this character is Ben is able to fix his DNA, because that's kind of part of what the Omnitrix does, right? So
yeah, for the second time we've seen Ben do this with the Omnitrix.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, because Ken was the one who was mutated into a DNA alien in last season, and that's when he like first discovered the Omnitrix can do this.
And this is when I start to go, well, wait a minute. If he can do that with this guy, can't he do it with all of the DNA aliens?
Yeah.
And, I guess your first thought is, well, maybe he's able to do it with Tyler, because Tyler was, still a little bit human, kind of remembering and stuff like that. But that'll come back in a couple episodes.
I mean, my thought with the whole using Omnitrix to convert a DNA alien back to a human, my first thought was maybe it'll be too much of a pointless exercise in the long run, because if you're going around and curing a DNA alien one at a time, that obviously that may be helpful in the long run, because eventually you would have cured enough people that the DNA alien or the hybrids don't have enough DNA aliens. But in the short term, you're kind of wasting time and energy doing that.
Great thought. That actually comes back later on. That whole thought process plays out.
Yeah. Yeah. I do also like that when Tyler's returned back to being a human, his memory is then restored to normal, and he can like remember everything everything about his life before being converted into a DNA alien.
Yep. And the guitar pick.
Yep, and he then remembers why he has that, and yeah, we also have. I do like that that Ben uses chromosome a little more.
Mm-hmm.
He is a very unique alien. Although it might be just because he has the ability to absorb and then redirect energy, which for some reason tends to be a power that I tend to like in heroes. Because one of my favorite heroes is Bishop from the X-Men, and he has that exact power. And as well, I think I have chosen Chromastone as my icon here.
Right.
I don't think this picture of Chromastone is from this season. It might be from a different season, but it's still Chromastone. Still the same character. Okay. Next episode, Birds of a Feather.
One thing I wanted to say on this, I don't think I mentioned it when we first introduced, what is it? It's Spider Monkey.
Yeah.
When that character was first introduced, I'm telling you, and every time he's turned into Spider Monkey and he goes, Spider Monkey, I crack up. For whatever reason, I think it is just so hysterical.
Wait, is it just the way that he sounds when
the way
he
talks? Sounds, the way he says it, how goofy he kind of acts? It just tickles me for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah. And the Spider-Man comparisons are more apparent for this character, because obviously with Stinkfly in the original series, there were some moments where he was very Spider-Man-esque.
Right.
But it's even more apparent with Spider Monkey. Actually, even more so if you take into account that the voice actor for Ben, Yuri Lowenfold, has voiced Spider-Man.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me. Yeah.
Yeah, the PS4 game. He voices and motion captures Spider-Man in this game.
Cool.
Because this game you play as like a 25-year-old Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he also, before doing that, he voiced Ben in this show. Actually, for basically everything Ben 10 related, or when it relates to the older Ben, like the 15, 16-year-old Ben, it's Yuri Lowenfold doing his voice. I don't know who. I think it's D. Bradley Baker voicing Spider Monkey. I think. Yeah, he's actually a regular for this show. He voiced some of the aliens in the original show as well. I know he also voices Swampfire and Humungosaur as well. Yeah, so this episode we are introduced to another arachnid chimp named Simeon.
Simeon, that's a little bit on the nose, but
yeah,
and it was very deep voice too.
Very common for this for this genre here.
Yeah,
but we first realize we're dealing with another arachnid chimp because Kevin is, surprised at how competent Ben seems to be in fighting as Spider Monkey, but turns out it wasn't him. So you get this whole backstory of the prince, the fallen prince, who needs to recover MacGuffin in order to reclaim his throne,
for the people to accept him as like their rightful ruler and that sort of thing.
Exactly. But there's throughout the story, there's things that don't make a lot of sense, that don't quite fit. You see Ben always wanting to believe the best of people. Also, definitely seeing a lot of himself in this character, the
because he's
child,
young, and he
thrust into responsibility.
was put on him before
having to prove
technically before he's
himself.
ready.
Yep. So he definitely wants to help him, but by the end he realizes things don't add up, and this is not, as cut and dry as it appears to be.
Because early on, before they actually meet Simeon, the DNA aliens that they're fighting, after they've like spoken to him, and then it cuts to Ben, Kevin, and Gwen. They're all in Ben's room, and they're chatting to each other, and Kevin's holding like an ear cleaner or whatever it is, that they got from the DNA aliens.
Yep.
I have no idea if those are actually made. Obviously, not with such a strong acid as that. Well, I don't think it even is necessarily acid. I think it's just like an acidic compound or something.
Well, I guess the Simeon refers to it as a resin decoherent or something like that, or a solvent or something like that. So it's obviously something that they need for cleaning up the goop that they spit out or whatever.
Right.
But they also refer to it as an air cleaner as well.
Yeah. Previously, he said he didn't even know what any of those aliens were. So then how did he know what this thing was? Yeah,
that was one of the tips that gives it away.
Yeah.
It's important because for the culmination of this item and the ominous use of it, the idea that Ben and Kevin have referred to it as an ear cleaner, there's no reason to believe that the what are the big aliens of the season? The hybrid or hybrid commanders. Yeah, there's no reason that the hybrid should call it an ear cleaner or know that they had called it that. So, but that is how it is absolutely used in the last episode, and it's very much inferred what happens to Simeon.
We don't see it. We just hear him. We just hear him activate it, and then it melt. We don't even know if it melts the floor, or melts his head or his brain, or whatever. We just hear it melt something.
Yeah, and the implication is that it was literally used as an ear cleaner on him, which means he's gone. He's done.
Yeah. We also have the Ben. Initially, when Ben like catches up to Simeon, and they he tries to take this glowing crystal from a base on the moon, and when the electric shock when he gets shocked by the defenses, and then Ben pulls him off, and then Ben himself then grabs, because he turned into chromostone, he can withstand the shock, or to some extent, and he grabs the glowing crystal. I know it's kind of weird, because at first you're kind of thinking why Ben's doing that if he knows something's not quite right, but then he does I think he was doing that more to kind of keep up the appearance of being on his side still.
Yeah. And I also like that too, as he's he's been exposed by Ben. He's trying to get the heck out of there.
Yeah.
Where comes across Kevin. Where's Ben? Oh, he's right behind me. Get away from him. Then Gwen. He's got to explain himself to Gwen. And well, you see, never mind. Boom. I quit. I don't care anymore. I'm getting out.
We also have when Ben actually grabs the crystal off of there, we don't see him put it into that grey box. We just see Ben walk over holding the grey box, and then tell him that he's put it in there.
Yep. And that's
and earlier when Simeon was trying to kill the guard and Ben saves the guard, it's like, we don't kill.
Yeah.
And then it turns out to be that the guard was like, oh, you can use my shuttle to get to wherever you need to get to.
Right.
Yeah.
So
presumably the guard explains to Ben what this place is and everything like that, and all the information that Simeon hasn't told Ben.
Right. That all happens off screen. And
Simeon does say it's a communication place, and now
because once Ben calls him out on like his lying and everything. Yeah, because I think he says that this is a communication station, and with the power crystal removed, no, they won't be able to call for help when the hybrid invade.
Yeah.
And then obviously I do also find it kind of funny at the end when he's like talking to the hybrid commander, and I think the hybrid like says something in like an insulting way, and then I think he either apologized or something like that, and then Simeon just says, "Oh, sure, offend me all you want as long as you keep paying me."
Yeah.
Yeah, and also I'm not actually sure to what extent, like how much of what Simeon said was a lie. Like I'm not sure if the part about him being a prince, I don't know if that's also a lie or if that was like truth. Obviously, the part in
I got the impression for what he said to Ben that it was all lie, because he said something like, "I made it all up," or words to that effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Ben does also mention that even though the guard told him what was going on, so he then kind of fully understood that Simeon was lying. He does mention that the fact that Simeon knew what the DNA alien ear cleaner was, despite saying that he doesn't know what the DNA aliens are when he first met. He does mention that he caught onto that detail before, like, the guard told him everything. I think this is the second episode in a row that's like pivotal to the whole conspiracy and the whole season-long arc.
Yep.
I think that's because it's Birds of Feather, Inside Man, Grounded, Undercover, and then Alone Together. I suppose you could kind of view Alone Together and Dark Star Rises as also being related to the overall conspiracy, but it's kind of doesn't necessarily have to be like important to that overall story. I think it's just a case of those two episodes involve hybrid, but aren't necessarily about the overall story. I do like the fact that the ear like the very end of the episode when the hybrid commander uses the ear cleaner on Simeon. I do like that they actually took the time to have the ear cleaner be kind of important to the story of the episode.
Yeah,
like at the beginning and the middle, and then obviously they have that like moment at the very end.
It's very much a Chekhov's gun.
Yeah, and also important for the whole the switcheroo at the very end.
Yep.
Like an Indiana Jones thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Next episode, Unearthed. I feel like this one might also be drawing on like a Star Trek episode or something. I didn't necessarily write that in my notes, but I did kind of get that kind of vibe from the episode.
Well, the idea,
or maybe it was a different sci-fi.
The idea that you have a big monstrous creature and it just so happens to be for that species a child, a baby.
Yeah, but baby.
Very, very interesting. And that's what it comes down to. It's a rescue mission for a baby. Is what it comes down to. Again, we see Gwen taking on that motherly role, kind of.
And she's the one that identifies the creature as a girl.
Mm-hmm.
I do find that funny when she says that. Kevin's like, no, it's not a girl.
Yeah,
I do find that funny. And there's like multiple times when they refer to this creature as like an it, and then they like correct him and go she.
Yeah, exactly.
I do find it funny that after a while, Kevin's just like, "Do you really think I care?"
Yeah, it's like I don't care. you know.
Well, what I thought was funny is when he's like, "It's not a girl; it doesn't have a bow in its hair."
Right, exactly. You should have a bow on the side of her head or something. No, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Definitely a send up to cartoon tropes and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, this whole idea that despite how powerful and strong she is, you know, she gets hurt,
Yeah.
she starts to cry. You know, you definitely get the baby vibe from this. So an alien that had been in stasis in a ship that was buried underground. The only reason it was found was because the DNA aliens were doing some digging and just happened upon this ship. Had nothing to do with their
Yeah, they were because they were digging for was it quartz
the
or
quartz
I don't know what,
crystals. Yeah.
yeah.
And it's not like it was in any way part of their whole plan or scheme. It was just happenstance. This wakes up the baby who goes looking for help and ends up, you know, finding Ben and Gwen and Kevin.
And they first misunderstand. I think it's just a monster rampaging. And
but
like
Gwen, of course, keys into what's going on. They end up stopping the DNA aliens from what they were doing and wake up mom and dad.
Yeah.
I thought it was so cute when the baby's first word is Gwen, and they're like, "Oh, it spoke. I wonder what that means."
Yeah, but we know that she was just saying Gwen. I also got a kick out of how dense Kevin is. Well, wait a minute. Why did the plumber's badges translate you so we could understand you, but we can't understand Tiny? Well, she's a baby. She's still pre-verbal. Just like Gwen said, right?
Yeah. And we also have there's one moment where they're all like standing in the desert, and I think Gwen says something like they need to move or need to do something, and Ben's just like is like I vote we stay here, and then Kevin's like I vote we stay here and keep arguing.
Right. I say we stay we stand right here. I say we keep arguing, and she just looks at them both. Well, you asked, you know.
Yeah.
If you don't want the answer, don't ask the question.
Yeah.
Smart Alex.
Yeah. It's actually not too surprising that despite how big and powerful this creature is, that it's actually just a baby. Because we've actually seen like an example of a similar thing with some of the other aliens that Ben can turn into.
Exactly.
Because like what I said before with the Omnitrix turning Ben into an appropriate age to hit like an alien of the same age that he is.
Right.
So like Humongousaur here, he's like really big. Like this would be an example of a 16-year-old member of Humongousaur's race.
Sure.
Well, not 16, 15. And the same in the original series where Ben was 10 and he would turn into Four-Arms, and Four-Arms is like much bigger than a normal person, but he would be a 10-year-old Tetramand. So it's like, the whole, this alien being only a baby while also being much larger than a normal person isn't that surprising.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's also the part when they first meet Tiny in the desert. She goes up and hugs Ben, and it's like, oh, she's hugging you. Because it was like another alien, something I can connect to.
Yeah,
I need help. And Ben doesn't understand and like backhands her.
No, I think the Tiny was like attacking him and like doing like a bear hug type attack rather than hugging him. And Kevin was making a joke about the fact that it looks like Tiny's hugging him. Yeah, because they were like messing, or they were like trying to figure out why Tiny had a whole bunch of like signs and street random things off the street in a cart, and he was also holding this power coupling from the DNA aliens. I think one of their drills was powered by this. Or we're not powered by this, but
they were toys.
I also find it funny that Tiny takes a bite out of the front of Kevin's car.
He was hungry.
And I feel like if he didn't want that to happen, maybe he should have parked the car somewhere else.
Yeah.
We also get at the end when they help his or before helping their parents out, when they actually release them from cryostasis, they do actually mention that they were passing. I think it was they were passing through the solar system or past Earth or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they they were passing through to I think they said it was like a specific time of like 1952 or something like that.
Right.
And they mentioned that they were passing through, and then there was like a temporal anomaly that caused like a problem with their engine and caused them to crash. And Ben immediately put it together because it's in the same area that they met Professor Paradox.
That's right.
1952 was when his time experiment went wrong and turned him into what he is now.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like the fact that Ben immediately caught onto that detail. I did also notice that this creature, when it looked at Gwen, it didn't see her how she normally looks. It actually saw her in her anodite form.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's specific to the fact that it's a child, or maybe that species can inherently see that.
I also like the juxtaposition where earlier on, when she's explaining it's a baby, we need to take care of her, whatever, you're not thinking of keeping her, are you? And then later on, the baby, reaching out for Gwen. No, you can't keep her.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like humans need to roam free.
Exactly.
It's a free range human.
Free range humans, exactly.
We'd also have the this quartz crystal. Her parents do actually mention that they're somewhat confused as to why the DNA aliens will be mining for so much of this quartz crystal.
Yep.
And they do kind of say maybe they're trying to build some kind of a jump gate or something like that.
Yep, which is exactly how it turns out.
Yeah, I think they mentioned about they would need a lot of the stuff to power something like that.
Yep.
I have also put into my notes that the mine where the ship comes flying out of,
Mm-hmm.
we will actually be seeing that location again next season. I think at the end of next season we'll see that location again, and I think that'll be the last time we see that area. But the actual base of Los Soledad, where all the DNA aliens are hiding under the cloak, that location we'll actually see a few more times. And now we're on the final 2 episodes, which I'm sure will probably sound familiar, considering it's a film that you very recently watched, that being War of the Worlds.
Yep, literally just last night. That's right.
One thing I am curious about is, did you watch this episode as in 2 parts or as one big episode?
As one, yeah.
Okay.
I just like cliffhangers.
Yeah, but it did seem like every commercial break seemed to have its own bit of a hook or cliffhanger, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's like they really want to keep you hooked on this last one.
Yeah, I do know specifically where the split into 2 episodes is.
Yeah,
it's about obviously halfway through, but it's specifically the moment when Ben turns into Waybig and attempts to pull the jump gate out of the ground, and then it activates and he falls back.
Yeah,
or he's electrocuted and then he falls back and hits the ground.
Yep.
It's right at that moment when the split between the two episodes is. Because after the Ben like transforms, after the fleet comes through the portal, and then Ben transforms back and then wakes up.
Yep.
Or the part where he actually like wakes or transforms back and then wakes up. That's the start of part 2. Part 1 ends right as the fleet is coming out and flying over an unconscious Waybig. So there are some. Obviously, the early section of part 1 of the. Okay, why does my Google keep doing this? Yeah, the early part of the early section of part 1 of this like larger episode is focused more on kind of jumping back and forth between Kevin and Gwen, getting all of the gathering up all the other plumbers kids and everyone else that they owe favors to, and then jumping back to then Ben and Azimuth chatting, and Azimuth like basically telling Ben some of the stuff about the Omnitrix and everything related to the hybrid invasion. The episode does actually start with the hybrid fleet attacking Azimuth's home planet of I think it's called Galvin Prime or Galvin B or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we also get some clarifications as to how the Omnitrix works, or from Azimuth.
Yeah, this is where we get the revelation that it's really meant to be a cosmic arc with all the DNA for all these different aliens throughout the universe, and it's his backup plan, literally backup plan, backing up all the life forms in the universe so that if the hybrid end up wiping out everybody, life could be restored. The problem is, though, that he treats it as a mutually exclusive plan. He's created this great weapon superhero opportunity that can stop the hybrid, but he doesn't want to risk failing because that would supersede the ability to use it as an arc. So his idea is, no, you can't get involved. You got to protect yourself in the Omnitrix. And he's like, no, that is not what I am going to do.
Yeah, because the primary, obviously the backup data for the different alien races, that's like a secondary function, and the primary function is, like what Azimuth said in the sequence of the Omnitrix movie, is for the different aliens of the universe to walk a mile in like each other's shoes and basically bring the universe closer together.
Yeah, and that purpose has a huge payoff at the end of this series.
Yeah, and basically the because Azimuth does, there's also with the aliens in the Omnitrix, the DNA in the Omnitrix acting as a backlog, he does mention that humans are also one of the DNA in the Omnitrix.
Right.
Because I think that's why Azimuth doesn't want Ben to get involved, because if the Earth is destroyed or if the human race is wiped out, as long as Ben is alive, he can then like restore humanity back to the Earth.
Right.
And also he does mention that just one of the DNA, the hybrid warships, I think he does mention that the entire fleet would wipe out the Earth, but he does mention, I think, just one ship could do that if given enough time.
Yeah, because their ships are just so big and so powerful. This Azimuth's character continues. He had been retconned previously. His first couple appearances, he was characterized as a stereotypical Jewish character using, oy vey and stuff like that. And he just It just came off as pretty cringy. And so it's probably for the best that they decided to go with a little bit more of the, wizened Eastern, type of character.
Now, what was interesting is he mentioned there were over 1 million different aliens in the Omnitrix, and that they were in groups of 10, which explains then why whenever Ben gets new aliens, it's a new set of 10 because it's in a new subfolder.
And Ben, of course, thinks that it's oh yeah, I know it's 10,000 because he's making reference to Ben 10,000. Nope, it's more like 1 million. Oh wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, to be specific, 1,903,000.
Yep, and
although later on it'll be 1,910,000. So there's like 8 aliens that he
get added to it.
Well, yeah, that'll be added later on, or at least 5, maybe 6 or 7 will actually be added, because these are all the aliens in the Milky Way galaxy.
Right.
And I'll point out at least 5 of the aliens that will be added won't be from the Milky Way galaxy. They'll be from the Andromeda galaxy. But the extra 3, I don't know where they came from. Because I know the Inner System alien, the 3 Inner System aliens from the original series, they weren't, or their DNA wasn't originally in the Omnitrix, because Ben had to like scan their DNA to then become one of them. I don't know if that's the extra 3 aliens that are unaccounted for.
Perhaps. And we have the return of everybody from the Null Void because things are done there, and that means Grandpa Max is back. That means the what are they called? The plumber's helpers, or how does he refer to them? As Max Force? Don't call us that. No, I like that. It's cool.
Yeah, Manny's the one who comes up with that name.
Exactly. And Grandpa says you're going to need help on this one, so he goes and gets all of the other plumber's helpers.
He brings in
Dark Force. They give Dark Force Dark Star. Why should I
contact him when he's in? They bring him out of the Null Void.
And why would you trust me? We don't trust you, but we need your help. And now that you're on Earth, if you want to survive, you need to help us save the Earth. Otherwise, you won't have anywhere to be.
Exactly. What was that's kind of sad is when Grandpa Max says, "I'm gonna need a bigger RV," and I'm thinking,
you got no RV. It's been blown up.
The rust bucket is gone.
And actually, we've had the same thing happen to. Actually, it happens in this. Actually, I cannot keep the two straight, so I think it might be best if we just talk about the two together, simply because these two stories kind of blend together. Kevin ends up sacrificing his car in the big battle against the baddies,
and he reveals that he'd been adding all sorts of alien tech to it,
which is kind of sad, because just as Netter was referring to the rust bucket, I'm like, oh, so this is kind of like the rust bucket 2.0, and then it gets blown up and sacrificed, and I'm like, oh, here we go again.
Yeah. There is also one thing I would like to point out with the whole the Omnitrix, but Azimuth says that it assorts the aliens in lists of 10. That's because like kind of like a factory, if you like factory reset, like computer, it's kind of similar with the Omnitrix, where the standard is 10 aliens.
Yeah.
So that also does kind of explain why Ben started with 10 aliens in the original series as well, because it's the same Omnitrix.
Right.
When he first used it, he then had 10 aliens to start with, and then he unlocked more of them as he went.
And let's face it, whether we're talking about 10,000 or 1 million, we're talking about such a big number. You need to break it down into bite-sized chunks. Yeah,
because Alan says that he assorts it into lists of 10 for simplicity's sake.
Yeah. We also get the introduction of the, instead of using a dial, you're going to use voice command, because for crying out loud, there's a million aliens for you to draw on. It's going to take you a long time to dial through to find the one you're looking for.
And Azimuth gives Ben master control.
Yep.
Has access so then that allows him to then use like the other aliens that he'd previously been using.
And I have to assume that even though it's not specifically mentioned in this episode, Master Control probably also extends his abilities to change between and the duration for, because this is the big battle and we don't want to deal with the 10-minute restriction and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the 10-minute restriction, well, it hasn't been in effect for a while now. I think it does extend the amount of energy he has, although he does still kind of go through the reserves, because he does end up still using a lot of the energy anyway.
He does.
Because during the battle when they're fighting the DNA aliens, and Darkstar starts absorbing the energy from some of them, and then he like starts absorbing the energy from a whole bunch of them, and it starts restoring him back to normal, but at the expense of killing or slowly killing the DNA aliens. And Ben kind of rolls in and says, like, we don't take them out, we take them down.
Right. Because he's referring back to the inside man. These are still human beings that can be. And he's like, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to just, heal them all or turn them all back or something? He's like, well, as a matter of fact, why not? Again, referencing back, to Inside Man, why he didn't think about it then after he had done it once. Yeah. Why didn't he do it with all of them? So he starts to heal everybody, only to get worn out doing so.
Yeah, but even though he's using up the energy, he still pushes to keep trying to do it to as many as possible,
because he feels he absolutely has to. What other choice does he have? Yeah. We've also seen in a previous episode, in fact, the first one where he seeks out the creator of the Omnitrix. The Omnitrix is about to go supernova and destroy all life in the universe, right? Yeah. That's how powerful this thing is. So we know this has, universal like levels of energy. So even though it's segmented and gets worn down, the potential energy in it is nearly infinite. It is almost as much energy as in the universe, which makes the denouement of the story that much more plausible when we start thinking about in terms of what the Omnitrix is and capable of.
Yeah, and we also see Ben turn into a couple aliens that he had previously not been able to turn into, like Cannonball.
Yeah, I like when he turns into. Oh, you haven't done Cannonball in a long time. Yeah, I was feeling kind of nostalgic.
Yeah, and that was, and I would imagine, even with the fact that Cannonball's one of the aliens he would turn into the most, the last time he was able to turn into that alien, that's probably the go-to alien he would turn into most of the time, or the most of the time that would see him. So he'd probably be the most experienced at that specific transformation.
So he uses his ability to try turning some of the DNA aliens back to humans.
Yeah.
Is limited in what he can do. But what's his name? The blonde kid, techie kid. Cooper is like, oh, I see what you did there. I can replicate that. So he makes a bunch of guns that
out of the mech that he created.
Literally hands them out to everybody so that they can, normally in a combat situation, you'd be taking guns to kill people. These are guns to use against the villains that literally turn them back into humans. Now, I felt like there was one missed opportunity here.
What would that be?
He's turning all of these DNA aliens back into humans. What would have been good is if now that they're humans and they know what's happened to them and they kind of have an idea of what's going on, taking these humans and turning them into resistance fighters and saying, here, pick up a weapon and help us, you know?
Yeah. Kind of a reverse zombie in a way.
Exactly. But
although I feel it's kind of confusing. Sometimes for multiple of the DNA aliens, you would see them turn back to humans and then they'll be knocked out on the floor. There is like 1 or 2 moments where you see them turn back and they're still conscious. I don't know why they did that, why they didn't either show all of them being conscious or all of them being knocked out on the floor. I feel like if they had had every DNA alien they turned back, then be unconscious on the floor, might have actually made it like make a little more sense than that like minor inconsistency. Then you wouldn't be thinking, hang on, they're conscious, so they could probably continue fighting.
My take on it is twofold. First, you can't show them all being restored unconscious, because some viewers might view that as, oh, great, you killed them, and in killing them, they revert back to their human form. And that's not the implication they wanted to send. What you could suggest is whether or not they're conscious or unconscious may have to do with what they were up to before they got turned back. If they were expending a bunch of energy or taking a lot of hits or something as DNA aliens, turning them to human knocks them out. But if they were just walking along minding their own business and get changed back, they're just changed back. Maybe I'm reading way too much into it, but you know.
Yeah, I think I would have liked to have seen all the humans that are changed back just like kind of revolt and go like, okay, I'm on your side, let's help. Da, 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 da. So but
or just run away from the area.
Yeah, I mean, it was a missed opportunity, I think.
Yeah, something needed to be addressed there, but I think there was a lot going on, so I think they had a hard time, with all of it.
Yeah.
We haven't even mentioned that we have the return of David McCollum as Professor Paradox.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's a little bit of the catalyst, because he's the one that brings what's his name,
Azimuth
at
the beginning, because
he saves Azimuth and brings him to Earth so that Azimuth can then catalyze the everything that's going on, and you get the distinct impression that Professor Paradox knew which future was the good one and helped bring it about, even to the point of telling Ben, you're on the right track, but wrong time. Hold that thought, so to speak, when he's trying to turn everyone back.
And we also have a moment a little bit later on when Ben calls Julie and Professor Paradox says, "Aren't you going to answer that? It's important."
Yeah, exactly. He's at crucial points to make sure that things happen.
And we also have the after the jump gate opens and the energy feedback from it knocks Waybig out, and then the whole hybrid fleet comes through the portal, and they don't really go that far. They just sort of hover in place.
Yeah,
I mean, you can see them moving a little bit, but they are mostly in the same spot.
Which I think they imply that the reason for that is they couldn't go through the cloaking device. They had to wait until the cloaking device was powered down, which gave them the time that they needed to play out the rest of the story.
Yeah. I think they were also kind of, the fleet might have also been waiting for an order to be given to then fly out and start eradicating the population of the planet.
Oh, right. That
might also be a reason, but I don't think anyone has said that in the actual episode.
Whatever the reason, the plot needed them to wait so that they could then be stopped.
Yeah. I mean, at least the hybrid fleet was actually firing down on Ben and like his team. They weren't just sitting there for no reason.
Yep.
And we also have the first they come up with the plan of going to the communications tower and forcing the hybrid commander there to call off the invasion. But then when they're there, first they fight him a little bit, and then then he tells them that he doesn't have the authority to call off this attack.
Right, he's
And
not the big bad.
Yeah, and it's with the hybrid supreme back on their home world. So they then come up with a plan of going through the jump gate and traveling to the hybrid home world to confront the Supreme back on their world.
And at this point, we get the big revelation of what their whole overall plan is. Their DNA has stagnated, and they're dying. And
they're inbred.
And
that's literally how they're described in the episode.
Yep, and they're really pissed about it, and so they are going to destroy, all life in the universe, and take it with them. And that means that there are literally jump gates opened to all the different planets in all the galaxy or universe or whatever it is.
And because of the way the hybrid thinks, and the like keeping their blood pure and keeping away from any kind of infection or exiling anyone who does become like mixed DNA with something other than a hybrid. Obviously, that's resulted in their DNA being not necessarily deformed, but like degraded over time, and now they're dying because of that.
Right.
And as Matthew points out, that this is the last line of the hybrid. Yeah, I think he mentions that they're infertile or whatever he says. So the hybrid can't reproduce any further now.
Right.
This is the last of them.
So again, reference to the Daleks. This idea that even to their own extinction, they need to keep themselves pure. They just can't give that concept up. But, and again, another credit to, we kind of saw this. We saw this in the previous instance where Ben is given the opportunity to. He's coming here to fight the bad guys, only to realize, hey, maybe I can save the bad guys. And in saving the bad guys, maybe they call off their attack. So he literally uses the Omnitrix to save, the hybrid. But to save them, he's got to infuse them with all the different, DNA from
random DNA samples from the Omnitrix.
And to them, that means, okay, now we're impure. We got to be wiped out. Now, a lesser hero would say, yeah, okay, I guess you guys should just wipe yourselves out. That's it. And then they win the war. But he goes, he convinces them, or he wants to convince them, no, that's not the case. And of course, who shows up but his old friend that, he had exiled
from
himself.
Alone Together.
Yeah,
Rhyme or whatever nickname he and Ben called him.
And he had exiled himself on Arrakis or whatever it was. Shows up and goes, I thought the same way, but he was on to something, and he's already he's
already gone through the train of thought that they are kind of in the progress of going through. Because they're currently at the stage where he was when Ben first helped him.
But there is a certain logic there. You get the impression that maybe he's already gone through it and figured it out. We don't hear them take it to its logical extreme on screen. But what it comes down to is you think you're so pure. You think you're so perfect. You're so perfect that you can't even reproduce to another generation, and you're going to die. You're not that perfect. You need to rethink what perfection is.
Yeah.
This actually, you see it as a downgrade. This really is an upgrade, because literally it saves us.
Yeah.
So that's what happens. The hybrid may actually very well have been turned into, I don't know if they come back in future episodes or something like that, but this could be turning a villain into a friend. Who knows?
Yeah. I do know that I think there's like one more episode in a later season where the hybrid are involved. Because this whole plot, like the whole hybrid conspiracy that's been going on through these 2 seasons, it isn't just a case of now we're at the final episode of the 2nd season. Now the whole plot line has been smoothed out and wrapped up nice and neatly.
Yeah.
There are a few episodes later on that will kind of tie up a couple of loose ends.
Yeah.
There is one thing I would like to point out that kind of confuses me.
Hmm.
The hybrid themselves, because they're all like they're only breeding with their own race, and that has resulted in them becoming inbred and sterile and everything. I'm just thinking, how the hell does that work? I thought inbreeding was between family, not the entire race.
So the problem here is that in the Ben 10 universe, they have done away with a certain scientific logic in that they allow aliens to interbreed apparently indiscriminately. That makes zero scientific sense. So they're thinking of it as if the different species in the universe are races, as in races or clans or whatever, on a single planet. And that's not how genetics work. That doesn't really make a lot of sense. If you want to impose some sort of a headcanon on it, you can say that this hybrid, as their name implies, have been for generations imposing some sort of genetic manipulation on themselves, selective breeding, So it would be the equivalent of I like the royal family, always having to marry other royals. And so that means you have the royals of Germany and France and Britain and whatnot. So, interbred, you end up with, everybody with club chins,
Yeah. You mean like with ancient Egypt is probably the most prominent one that comes to mind for me. Because I know they're royalty. They didn't necessarily, I don't think they bred with like direct family members, but I think it was cousins, I think.
Right.
Yeah, I think it was royals interbreeding with like cousins, like extended family rather than direct, like directly opposing family.
But you end up with the whole Hapsburg chin concept,
Yeah.
It was clearly on its way to, what you're talking about with King Tutankhamun and such, where, you can get very, very inbred. Well, what we've seen here is that the hybrid, based on what the dude that lost his hand was saying, he's talking about he's royalty. Well, it seems like all the hybrid are royalty. So that definitely does imply that there was one family of hybrid that kind of won out. And so all that's left would be the Hapsburgs, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I think that is your explanation. You don't have a single species. You have a subset of a single species that over the generations has literally become the only family, the only bloodline on the planet left.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a whole lot more sense.
So if right now you were to the House of Windsor actually took over the world and did not allow anyone else to reproduce, and only the Windsors were allowed to continue the human race, is basically what I'm suggesting happened here.
Okay, yeah. I will point this one detail out. This is the last, or until the first episode of season 3.
Mm-hmm.
This is pretty much the last time we're going to see Ben transform into an alien, like specifically turn into an alien that he actually chooses. Because, yeah, from season 3 onwards, we're returning to the whole idea of the Omnitrix just randomly turning Ben into a different alien when he chooses one.
Sure, why not?
Well, and that's fine, because when you're talking about 1 million aliens, how would he even know what's in there? How would he even know what their properties are? He would just keep choosing the same 10 same 20 over and over again.
Yeah. I suppose it really does depend on which you prefer, whether it's the Omnitrix working exactly as it's supposed to, or the Omnitrix just randomly switching Ben to an alien that he didn't necessarily choose.
Well, it does make you wonder if it's truly random, or if the Omnitrix has some insight into what's best for the circumstance. If that's the case, I would prefer, what alien that I've never turned into would be a good one here, Omnitrix?
Hey, Wolf10 Media here.
Hey, Wolfie, happy birthday.
Welcome, Wolf10. Oh, yeah, happy birthday. I know we're kind of a day late on that.
Yeah, kind of like the TARDIS saying, I took you where you needed to go.
Yeah, I didn't always take you where you wanted to go, but I always took you where you needed to go. Yeah.
I can definitely see that kind of.
Oh, Samuel Proctor. Hi, man. How you doing?
Oh, I didn't even notice that Samuel Proctor was in here as well. Yeah, that whole idea of the Omnitrix like consciously choosing an alien that will be most helpful to Ben rather than the one he thinks is helpful. That idea I can definitely see when we get to Omniverse. I can definitely see that idea. But for Alien Force and Ultimate Alien, there is actually somewhat of a reason why the transformation is why he mistransforms. Well, I'll save that until we actually get to season 3.
Sure.
Yeah. So is that everything we have to say on
I
this
think
particular
so.
episode?
Yeah.
So I'll do that. Now, okay, I don't know why I do kind of know why I got this out, but here is the 2005 Tom Cruise War of the Worlds movie.
Oh yeah.
Specifically because it's the only War of the Worlds movie I have. I don't have the 50s version or the 50s film.
That's fair.
Yeah. If you haven't seen this film, I half recommend it and half don't recommend
it. On the one hand, it's War of the Worlds. On the other hand, it's Tom Cruise.
It's not a bad movie, but it's difficult to recommend. It's like on some level, I do kind of recommend watching it because there are definitely good parts about it. I think it's a 50-50 in terms of quality.
Yep,
and
sure.
Yeah, so season 3. So season 3, because that's like 20 episodes, we'll have to split that into 2.
Okay.
So we can easily do like 2 streams for that season because it's like 10 episodes and then the next 10 episodes. So that'll be a part 1, part 2 stream. There is also another thing to consider. That is the live-action Alien Swarm movie.
When does that come in?
This takes place in between the end of season 2 and the start of season 3. Yeah, it was made in between, like right in the middle of season 3 is when this was made, but it takes place in between season 2 and 3. Also, this movie is in continuity, unlike the other live-action movie. Oh, hello, Tigger. I have a cat on my lap.
Yeah.
Apparently, he just couldn't wait to sit on me. Yep. Okay. Why don't you say hello to everyone watching?
Wow. Like a buzzsaw.
Yeah. Okay, you're gonna. Yeah, apparently he's just gonna cut up on my lap now. Okay, look. Yeah, so because this takes place, or this is in between season 2 and 3, so this will be the next thing we do. But because there's only one movie, I feel like we should probably do this in conjunction with the first 10 episodes of season 3, rather than do this as its own vid stream and then do season 3, because then we'll be doing like 3 streams, and I feel like this shouldn't take up too much time or too much space. Yeah. And yeah, this movie is in continuity with the show itself, so yeah, this is definitely important that we do this as well. Okay, you're gonna get comfy now. Yeah. Yeah, so yep, Wolf 10, we have already addressed the fact that Dark Star is not the most appealing person to look at.
Not at all.
Yeah. If you need to note down the Alien Swarm movie or live action Alien Swarm movie.
I'm actually getting it right now.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, this is one of the DVDs that I've had for a long time now, because I bought I have been buying the DVDs for Ben 10, like the original show and some of the other movies and Alien Force. I have been buying some of them. There are a few that I had already, like at least 2 volumes of the original show, and then this movie was also one of the DVDs I already had, like for years now. And also 1 volume of Alien Force and then 1 volume of Ultimate Alien are also DVDs that I've always had.
So we'll talk about that first in the next one?
Yes. Next stream, we'll start with this, and then once we've finished talking about this, we'll then move right into the first 10 episodes of season 3. And you don't have to worry about an order, because the production order and the US air date order for season 3 is exactly the same, regardless of which one. So you don't have to worry about going, okay, this episode and this episode and this episode. You can just go just first 10 episodes. Yeah.
Yep. I agree with Samuel Proctor. He said, I don't think I ever liked the idea of Ben 10 being live action. I would assume it would be like the cringe live action Nickelodeon movies of the cartoons. Yeah, well, that's definitely how I felt about the first one, even though I loved Lee Majors as Grandpa. Yeah. That's why I chose him as my icon.
And still using him as your icon?
Yes, but that is the only thing that I really liked about the live action one.
This does have the same director as that movie.
Right.
The writer is not the same, though. It's a different writer for this one.
Right. But you said this one is canon or continuity.
Yes, this one is in continuity.
Okay. Okay, we'll see.
We'll see what you think of this one.
I'll give it a chance. We'll check it out. Okay. So that's in 2 weeks, right?
Yep, 2 weeks.
All righty.
Yes. There is one strange thing. I think this is a pure coincidence. The actor playing live action 15-year-old, technically 16-year-old Ben, he looks very similar to Yuri Lowenfold, the actor who voices Ben in Alien Force.
Yeah, he does kind of.
I don't know if that's like a coincidence or if they purposely chose him because of that. I don't know.
Don't know.
I mean, when I was younger, I just assumed it was the same person, but when I actually looked it up, it's actually 2 different actors.
Yep. Alrighty then.
Yep. So obviously in 2 weeks we'll be returning with the Alien Swarm movie and then the first half of season 3. And season 3 will be the start of a few problems that a lot of people seem to come up with a few problems with this show. And they start with season 3, but most people point to Ultimate Alien as when they talk about these specific problems. I don't know why. Not sure why everyone has such a hate boner for Ultimate Alien.
Well, we'll see when we get there.
Yeah, but although before that, I will be doing a second Minecraft stream this Wednesday, and then where I'll be playing through Minecraft with my specific goal of reaching the end dimension and fighting the Ender Dragon at some point. It could take multiple streams for me to get there, or I could get there like in just a few more, in just like 2 or 3 more streams. No idea how long that will take, but yeah. And then after that, because it will just be me next Sunday, I will find something else to do. Like last week, I did some retro gaming streams, or not streams. I did a stream where I played some retro games. And funnily enough, the only person that was in the chat was aged boomer.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
depending on what day you're doing it, there's a lot going on, so it can be challenging.
Yeah, that stream was basically just me and aged boomer talking about retro games. Well,
Nice.
while I was playing one, I was playing a few.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. It was pretty much just boomer going, "Oh, I remember Golden Axe."
Yeah. Oh, Golden Axe. Yeah, I remember.
Like I played Altered Beast, Golden Axe, Shinobi 3. I think it was Return of the Ninja Master or Revenge of the Ninja Master, something like that. And then I also played The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, because I figured that's like 15 years old. Technically, that would be considered retro. Maybe I don't know.
That's fair.
I'll leave that up to everyone else to decide if 15 years counts as being retro.
You feel old, dude.
Yeah. So and as far as I go, Friday I'll be doing my my regular Friday night stream. I'll be doing the random drawing for a copy of Heart of the Jedi. I think everybody that's here in the chat right now already knows about that. But if you're listening to this on the replay between now and Friday, stop on over to my channel, go to last Friday's stream and drop a comment to let me know that you're interested in that book, and I'll put your name down into the drawing.
And if you're somebody who doesn't know his channel, it's just Troy, Troy Pacelli, Pacelli, and you can find him right away that way. Make sure that you leave a comment on last Friday's stream so that I can get your name to put into the drawing, because I'm the drawing girl.
There's a number of Matthew Flynn's if you're looking for him by name on YouTube, but there's only one Troy Pacelli.
Yep.
In fact, Matthew, did you want to be put into the drawing?
Well, for what, a chance to win the Heart of the Jedi book?
Yeah.
No, I'm good. I already have a copy of the book.
Awesome.
I already have my own copy right here.
Good on you.
Yep, already got my own copy right here.
Excellent.
I'm good.
I only have 6.
I'll leave that copy for someone else to get.
Absolutely. I saw Wolfie's comment.
Yep.
I don't like the idea of, that's the worst part, when you have good character progression and then you regress them. It's very, very frustrating.
I think this right here is something we're going to need to talk about when we get to that point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because let's just say this isn't inaccurate, but it's not completely accurate either.
Yeah.
I'm just going to point that out.
We'll look at it. Let me see it as we go.
Yeah. Yeah. Most of the time, I feel like some people don't really, or haven't really watched like the season 3 of Alien Force or Ultimate Alien, haven't watched it in that after a while.
Yeah.
I think most people might have watched it when it came out, or maybe partly watched it when it came out, and then not watched any more of it. And then mostly what ends up happening is whatever like information you read up or you watch through any kind of video, and then that kind of inevitably ends up coloring your opinion of said thing, because it's happened to me as well, where I've watched a video where someone's explained something, and then that's kind of, even if I don't fully agree with what's being said to me, I still kind of subtly goes into my brain anyway.
Yeah.
And kind of slowly affects my thoughts on that specific thing. I do try to resist that though whenever it happens. Although, ironically enough, Ultimate Alien is probably one of my favourites of the show. And also it does feature my favourite version of Ben's future as well.
Yep. Well, we'll get there.
Right. Isn't that what you would want a show called Ben 10? For it to be, for like, not like completely happen because of Ben, wouldn't it make sense for Ben to be the center of the story in a show about him?
And guys, those of you in the stream, if you haven't already, hit that thumbs up. We got 7 watching and only 4 thumbs up.
Oh, on my end on the YouTube, it only says 3. I'll reset the page once we don't actually see the actual number. Yeah.
And okay.
Yep. So let the Matrix light there. God damn it. Okay, let me start again. Yeah. Let the Matrix light your darkest hour till all are one.